Previously on Martin Takes a Look at the Melbourne Metro Tunnel, we admired the lofty canopy at Anzac Station, dropped into the massive concourse at Parkville, and rode a test train under the city. But I was recently given an opportunity to check out what are arguably the two most important stations on the tunnel, the two under the Melbourne CBD, State Library and Town Hall, named after the State Library and the Town Hall. As well as being the major destinations on the route for city commuters, these two stations are also where many Metro Tunnel passengers will connect with the rest of the rail network. The Metro Tunnel runs underneath Swanston Street and is quite deep below ground, needing to pass below the existing City Loop tunnels and under the Yarra River. The two new CBD stations are both very close to existing stations. In fact, in some early concepts for the project, they were considered to be extensions of those stations. While they did end up getting their own names, Town Hall will still be closely linked to Flinders Street and State Library to Melbourne Central. Both have underground pedestrian connections within the paid area, meaning transferring passengers won't have to pass through any ticket gates, and we'll take a closer look at those connections when we get down there. Before we head in, just a quick note about the completeness of these stations. While the smaller stations at Arden, Parkville and Anzac are essentially in finished condition, the two CBD stations are far more complex and still have a lot of construction work taking place. However, the completion of these two stations is really the last big part of this project to come together. Trains are already running through the tunnels on regular test runs, and I'm assured that we are still looking at a 2025 opening date. Alright, first let's take a look at Town Hall. The platforms at Town Hall are 34 metres below Swanston Street. That's about the depth of two Z3 class trams, and it occupies the whole block between Flinders and Collins Streets. There are four main entrances to the station. There's the pedestrian subway from the Campbell Arcade and Flinders Street stations to Grave Street subway. Then there's a new area called Town Hall Place, which itself will have several small entrances. Then there's one down on the corner of Federation Square and one on the site of the old City Square up at Collins Street. To put that in perspective on the ground, here's a view you may be familiar with of the Flinders Street main entrance. Then over there is where the Fed Square entrance will be. And then up here, past St Paul's Cathedral, is the construction site for the new City Square and Collins Street entrance. This is still very much a construction site, but a large glass roof is taking shape at the northern end, which is being fitted with louvers to provide some shade, and I can see this is going to be quite a grand entrance. Under the roof leading down from Collins Street is a set of 5 escalators, which lead down to a mezzanine level, which features some retail spaces, then down via another 4 escalators to the main upper concourse, which is a large imposing hall and has become known as the Crypt, not just from appearance, but also due to being almost underneath St Paul's Cathedral. Personally, I'm getting very strong Mines of Moria vibes from this space. Hopefully they didn't delve too deep. There was still a hole in the roof letting in a shaft of sunlight, and while I don't think that's a final feature, I thought it looked pretty cool. Then it was on to the main concourse area, and we start to see more of those common Metro Tunnel design elements that appear at all the stations. The orange beams on the roof within the paid area, the huge yellowy orange light fittings, and of course loads of those little logos. Just around the corner I got my first glimpse of the vaulted arched ceiling above the platform. This 10-metre high space feels quite dramatic with the high orange arches and chandeliers hanging the length of the platform. The platform is an island and is a quite massive 19 metres wide, sort of divided into 3 sections. The platforms themselves are tucked away several metres back from the main central space. Alright, let's take a look at that pedestrian connection from Flinders Street. So you may be familiar with the northern end of the De Grave Street subway, pretty much underneath Flinders Street Platform 1, which currently leads to this closed roller door connecting to the Campbell Arcade. Well, here we are on the other side of that door, and this is the walk down to the Town Hall concourse. It is a bit of a hike, and certainly reminded me of the connecting passageways at some London Underground stations. However, I don't expect all connecting passengers will go this way. For instance, if you're already at the concourse end of Flinders Street, it may well be easier to just cross the street and go down the Fed Square entrance. This does involve passing through 2 sets of ticket barriers, but with the way Melbourne's fares work, it won't actually cost you anything. Interestingly, this isn't the first time Flinders Street has had a direct connection with a separate station. Prince's Bridge Station existed to the east of Swanston Street from the 1850s up to 1997, and the entrance to Prince's Bridge was right here where the new Federation Square entrance will be for Town Hall. Speaking of the Fed Square entrance, here we are underneath it. Pedestrians will pass under Flinders Street, the street Flinders Street, not the station Flinders Street, in this large arched space. Then it's a fairly short walk down to the platforms from here. Alright, let's go take a look at State Library. State Library occupies the block between La Trobe and Franklin Streets, and is even deeper than Town Hall, and in fact any other station in the state, with the platform 36 metres below street level. That's about 2 Z3 classes, plus about 2 Mikey machines. This was necessary in order to pass below the city loop tunnels, which are already split across 2 levels under La Trobe Street. State Library only has 2 entrances. The main one is on the corner of La Trobe and Swanston, and is accessible both from Swanston Street directly and under the street from Melbourne Central. Then there's a smaller entrance up on Franklin Street. The main entrance is a really imposing structure made up of 6 large concrete arches. These huge horizontal beams across the top apparently weigh about 70 tonnes each, which is about 1.4 E-Class trams, or to use the standard Yarratrams metric, about 42 rhinos. Or for a more locally relevant measurement using our state faunal emblem, it's just over 500,000 critically endangered leadbeater's possums. Along the La Trobe Street side, the glass features a prominent artwork by Danny Mallow, featuring historic images of Wurundjeri Woiwurrung women, photographs that were sourced from the State Library collection just across the road, laid over the artist's contemporary infrared landscape photography. There are 5 long escalators leading down from Swanston Street to the concourse level, with the ticket barriers to be located just over here. Now, if you want to see how to get to this spot from Melbourne Central, here we are walking in at the Swanston Street end of Melbourne Central. And for quite a while now, there's been all this construction hoarding along the left here, which is covered in advertising for the Metro Tunnel. See this door here? Well, here's the other side of that door, and we're right here at the main escalators. Then there's another lot of 5 escalators running down to a wide passageway towards the trains. Like all the Metro Tunnel stations, the acoustic baffles on the roof are purple facing the exit and white facing the platforms. Then it's just one more short lot of escalators down to the platforms, which are virtually identical to the ones at Town Hall, with the vaulted ceiling, orange arches, and chandeliers. In fact, they're so similar that one of the shots I've just shown you was actually from Town Hall, and you'll just have to guess which one it was. While I would personally prefer to have visually distinct stations to assist with wayfinding and spatial awareness, these main central areas won't be easily visible from onboard the trains anyway, and there is some nice symmetry to the matching designs. So those are our 2 new CBD railway stations opening to the public sometime this year. You can check out my other videos on the Metro Tunnel in this playlist. Enormous thanks to the Metro Tunnel team for inviting me to visit these sites, and thank you very much for watching.